So let me come to Santosh, you at first, Dr. Santosh Shetty, and then I'll go to you, Harsha. So my question to you is, very basic. It's not a rocket science question. Like, we know that in the last few months, patient visits to hospitals have the footfalls have decreased. People are not choosing to go for elective surgeries, and initially we thought that this is something which is normal; it will pass. But it is impacting all of your balance sheets, the way you can hire people, retain people. So, in that context, would you like to say something, Santosh, for the experience that you have seen in KDH and the group? And then Dr. Rajaram, I'll come to you and your experience. So Santosh, please go ahead about the whole gamut of what experience you are facing and what are you going to do to recover.
Thank you, Anjanda, and it's a privilege to be here on this panel.
Thank you for being
in participants.
Thank you.
So, I mean, like what Mr. Dang mentioned, it's truly a sledgehammer blow to healthcare. And when you look at healthcare, typically, if you look at technology, healthcare has always been a laggard in terms of digitization. I mean, when you talk of medical technology, we are always at the forefront, wanting to buy the latest CT scans, MRIs, and all that. But when it comes to digitization and exploring technology, connect with patients, we've not really been so much in the forefront. So, I mean, the whole paradigm, if you ask me, has completely changed. Patient behaviors or customer behaviors have completely changed. So when you look at patients today, and when the pandemic broke out in April, it was even more significant. Patients are very wary of coming into hospital for any kind of activity. Hospitals are looked at as dens of infection, that if you walk in here, you will end up with COVID. This kind of perception that was there at least in April and May. Of course, in the last couple of months, things have changed a bit, but I would say this has been a complete reset, and a lot of customer behavior has changed. Patients are trying to see what are the things that can be done from the comforts of their homes, or what are the things that they can avoid coming into hospital for. So if you look at things like outpatient consultation, from a point where we were at about 1-2% of our total outpatient consultation was online consult, today 20% of our consultations have moved to online consultations.
Okay.
So that's a significant change that we've seen, and that change has been not just from the patient point, but also from the physician perspective. So physicians today are able to accept that it's very easy for them to do this video consult or teleconsult. The same physician 6 months ago would never believe in this concept. He would say, no, I mean, I have to examine the patient physically, I have to see the patient, what about the medical legal implications and things like that. So, the same physician today is more than happy to tell me that, today I've got 10 Skype consults or online consults. So that has been a complete change that you can see from an OPD consultation perspective. What we are also seeing is that patients are not willing to come even for diagnostic work. So when a patient used to walk into a hospital for an OPD consult, there used to be spin-offs in terms of other diagnostics, whether it was lab, radiology, pharmacy. So that is something that is going to have a significant long-term impact. So while we may cover the OPD consultations in the form of teleconsults, but when it comes to diagnostics, when it comes to pharmacy, we have to figure out new models in terms of how do we collaborate with diagnostic providers, how do we collaborate with pharmacies, how can I extend my home healthcare services, because that's again something. So in the last few months, we've done the highest number of home visits for lab and for some of the other facilities. So more and more we see that patient behavior has changed, and some of this behavior is going to be sustained from a long-term perspective. And on the outpatient side, there is going to be a significant impact on outpatient revenues. A lot of the secondary level healthcare, or what we call as the single specialty healthcare. So if you see mother and child healthcare, that has come down significantly. Patients are preferring to go to standalone birthing centers and deliver rather than coming into multi-specialty hospitals. If I look at basic specialties like ophthalmology, ENT, Patients are preferring going to standalone ophthalmic centers to get their cataract done rather than coming into a multi-specialty, because there is that fear that if you come into hospitals, there is a risk of infection. Some of this behavior, I believe, will remain sustained, and we will have to rework our strategies to see how we can capture some other value in this whole thing.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. I mean, we are all curious to know about this percentage. So 1 to 2% to 20-25% is a big jump. Yes. So I just am curious, one quick question again to you. Like in the last few months there, as CEO, you must have faced a challenge in helping your physicians and the other staff in adapting to this changing need. Was it a very difficult challenge, or how did you manage?
Well, for the first 1 month, I would say very, very difficult. Okay. Very, very difficult.
Okay.
And I mean, at the end of the day, physicians are also human beings, and they are trying to deal with a completely new disease, of which no one really knows about. So the first month was very tough. To motivate people to go and work in the COVID units was very challenging. We had to give them that assurance, reassurance. But, once the first 15 days were gone and they realized that, as an organization, we are committed to this cause, that if they get infected or if any of their family members get infected, we are there to take care of them, to make sure that we look after them. So once they had that assurance, they had that commitment from the organization, then it became easy. Once the first month was gone, then I think, everyone started coming back. In the initial period, many of them had stopped coming to work. They said we have small children at home and, we have old parents at home. But once the first fortnight was gone, they saw some of their colleagues go through without any problems, then it became easier. But it was important for us to lead from the front, to be here every day, to walk through the hospital, build that confidence, give them the reassurance. I think it was definitely a challenging period for all of us. I mean, as leaders, I would say the most difficult period. Thankfully, I had lost all my hair before the pandemic. Otherwise, it would have been even more.
Yeah. No, thank you. You took the word out of my mouth. I think we talk about the Corona warriors. This is the time to salute all of them and salute all of you who have led from the front, So thank you, Santosh. Harsha, from your side, Aster DM, what's the experience? And, as the operational head, if I may say, you must be having your hands deeply into the whole thing. So your 2 bit, please.
Thank you, Mr. And thanks for having me on the panel. What Dr. Santosh told, I think we had a similar experience. Only thing is that since we are geographically spread, and the COVID started a bit early in our GCC hospitals, digital helped us in learning it. Learning what is happening there, and we used to have COVID crisis meeting every day across all the geographies. So it helped us immensely. Even now today, if you see the spread in India itself, Kerala is still not peaked right now. So whereas Bangalore and Andhra clusters of our hospitals are going through a tough time. So it has been a difficult time for us, and what Dr. Santosh said, the adaptability of digital health for us has been multifold. We have nearly done about 70,000 odd consults till date. Since we also have an ecosystem of Aster Labs, pharma and other stuff, unlike what Dr. Santosh said, it was easier for us to cater to the byproducts of a consultation. So we were able to, yes, even our home care went drastically, especially in Kerala cluster. In Kerala cluster, surprisingly, teleconsult, there was a bit of resistance. But in Bangalore, in Andhra and other places, we had a very good uptake. And rightly so, I think it is not just with the patients, but also with the doctors who were very reluctant. We actually thought, pre-COVID times, that young doctors would be the one who would easily adopt it, and we found the senior doctors very reluctant. But surprise, because I think the social distancing was an issue. Even the senior most surgeons, doctors were keen to see what is the alternate available for them to get onto a platform and see how they can be in touch with their patients. So we did use teleconsult, triaging mode, home ICUs. We also leveraged our because we are geographically spread, we could when there was a high burnout in different areas, we could do tele ICU between different units, because the norm of having a rotation of staff had a huge burnout on different setups where we had acute shortage. So the centers which were doing well, we could, being an enterprise, we could cross leverage our resources and effectively manage it. So it was a challenge. It is still a challenge. The challenge is not over yet, but I think digital has really helped us in learning faster and also executing it faster.
Do you think, Harsha, there will be more investment in digital health area in the months and years to come? For sure.
No, I think so. At least like what Dr. Santosh said, we also expect that 15 to 20% of our OPD will erode. And definitely we feel that we need to maintain this, and also in addition to that, cater to the byproducts of consultation and create an ecosystem where cater to the requirement of lab, pharma, and home care. So we are trying to build in an ecosystem which could help us in catering to all these requirements.
Sure.